You're now listening to the show about the shit in life that's just a bit too much from the perspective of stand-up comics. With our hosts, Carmelo Bongiovi and Ken Krantz. This week's topic, The Aftermath Part 1. With our guest, Jim Florentine. This is A Bit Too Much.
I didn't even go through a divorce. I had a brutal breakup years ago, and it like trickled over time. It was like I couldn't shake it. I needed it was the kind of breakup where I was afraid to leave because the person was nuts, and I developed a strategy to get out of the relationship. I had to start planting seeds over the course of months to get out of the relationship because I couldn't just go, I'm leaving. Because crazy shit would happen. She's like, I'm going to kill myself. I'm going to kill you. She assaulted her mother once over me. It's a real thing. It's a violent person. So when I told you about the same woman also punched me in the spine outside of Stand Up New York years ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
She literally full on punched me. And so I was like, I can't, I need war tactics here. I need to go, how do I get out of this? And then my way of getting out of it was saying to her, let's just make this a break. But I knew once I had the separation, I could pull away.
Yeah.
But in her mind, it was a break. It wasn't a full breakup. It's like we're taking a break from each other. But I knew I needed that little bit of separation. But because of that, it wasn't the smartest thing to do. I had this lag where it was she kept on wanting it to go back. You know what I mean? She kept on wanting the relationship to reconnect and that break to be over. And I was like, oh, now I've got the distance. I'm fucking running full speed ahead. And then the trickle of, and then this leftover relationship was just maybe another year. I ended up meeting who now was my wife during that time. And I had to avoid this person, and I had moved. I had to avoid, I ran so far from this person and she kept on finding me. And that was and that's not even a divorce. You guys both went through divorces where there's kids involved. That's a much harder thing to that's a tougher, because you have to keep the relationship.
Sometimes, yeah, to get out of a relationship like that, almost you can also just treat them like shit. Keep treating them like shit until they want to break up. Right. Because man, I want to get out of this, but I can't because I don't know what she's going to do.
But if you're a pussy and you can't effectively treat, I tried that a few times and then I'd be like, oh no, she could treat me like shit more than I could treat her like shit, But that's one tactic.
That's one tactic where she goes, look, I'm not going to take this anymore.
Yeah, you're a piece of shit. I'm leaving you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way to get out.
Yeah. I think I did the wimpy version of that.
That's a good way to break. But every woman knows when a woman says to a guy, hey, let's go on a little break for a little bit, they want to go fuck somebody else.
Right.
So they got some other guy at work or whatever.
Yeah.
And that means it's basically over. She ain't coming back.
Right.
Most likely, unless that new side piece doesn't work out. Then she comes back. So you think that she would know that when you said, let's take a break. No, I know what this means.
Yeah, but this is also a very delusional person. This is not a person I think.
Yeah, but they're delusional, but they also track you down, knew what you were doing. So they're not that delusional. They're great at relationships and stalking and all that stuff. If they're that savvy at that, they know what's on your mind. When
right. They're not like nut house nuts, but they're nuts in they're like Hitler nuts. It's you're crazy. You're not, but you're evil. You're crazy evil, but there's some wit to what you're doing, right? It's manipulative.
Yeah.
Did you say she assaulted her mom over you?
Yeah.
What?
Which her mom had nothing. Well, just that her and her mom would fight all the time. And then I don't know exactly, I wasn't there, but I know that they got into a fight because I think she was let it go or something like that. And she was like, don't fucking tell me to let it go. and her mom was this 4'5" Italian lady. And they just full on fucking fuss. She threw things at her.
See, that sounds like a scary relation. If she's willing to throw a punch at her mom over you, then what's she willing to do to you?
I'm double her size. She threw a punch at me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? She didn't fear
why did
my
she punch you in the back and the spine at Stand Up New York?
Well, the full thing is that when I was very early on, and I bombed, and this host was like, oh, go home and get a blowjob, be fine. The host was trying to be nice to me, oh, don't worry, shake it off. It's a bomb. We all.
He said that on stage, after you got off stage.
So after I got off stage, she said, no. She said off stage to me.
Oh, okay.
Just go home and get your. And she was coming out, and all she heard was blowjob And I think she thought that the person was hitting on me. I knew how crazy and jealous she was. So I don't know why I did this, but I just walked out of the club.
Right.
I was like, oh God, I'm going to pretend I didn't see her, see that. And I like acted like I was just going to get some air. And I just fucking heard high heels running after me like a cheetah in high heels. And she fucking, without even saying anything, punched me in the spine.
You should have said, honey, I mean, after that set I just had, you think some girl's going to want to call me?
Like, I'm the only one who ate dick tonight. Yeah. You think anyone's like, that guy's going like...
You think some girl wants to bang me after that set?
I mean, maybe a pity blowjob. Right. So, and then in the aftermath of that, and I was interested for two guys that are divorced, like when you're out of a relationship, you're like, okay, this is not working, right? You and I are not working. But there has to, in my case, it didn't have to be a relationship. I was just scared. I didn't know how to get away. When there has to be a relationship there, like is it always brutal? I feel like it's always brutal. Like I have a buddy who's going through a divorce. It's brutal. You know what I mean? It's never clean when this kid's involved, especially. It's like never just a clean. Like the only time divorces are clean is like if they were young and they were married for like 2 years and that's it.
That happened to my brother. My brother was married for 2 or 3 years, no kids. Then one day said to his then wife, I think maybe I made a mistake and I'm just not really feeling this anymore. Like, I think he had to like work up the courage to, and she was like, oh, thank God. I've been thinking the same thing. Yeah. And then they just had this like incredibly amicable divorce and he stayed friends with her for years.
Right.
She would still come hang out. Yeah, that was
because that's like a breakup with paperwork. That's just like a breakup. Yeah. That doesn't feel like a divorce. It is a divorce, but it doesn't feel like when the kids are involved, it's a little bit of a different story because you got to maintain the relationship for kids, right? You have to like be there. And even though you're like, don't get along with this person, you still have to find a way to communicate with them because you're co-parenting, right?
I always tell women when I get in a relationship, I go, listen, if you're unhappy in the relationship, just leave. Just tell me and leave. Yeah. I'm not going to hold you fucking hostage if you don't think this is working out. I'm a big boy. I can take it.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the first time I ever moved in with a girl. I needed to be New York City. Me and Jim Norton were going in the city all the time. He lived in like North Brunswick. I was in like Old Bridge or whatever. Right. It was an hour back and forth. They're trying to go in like 3-4 days a week to show our faces at the comedy clubs to get past.
Sure.
So at some point I'm like, I got to get closer to the city. This is too much. So I had this girl I was dating. She lived in like West New York, Weehawken, like right outside the Lincoln Tunnel. She was looking to move out of her parents' house. I was looking to move out. So we're like, let's get a place together. I'm like, perfect. But then I'm like, man, I never lived with a woman before. I don't know how this is going to work out. So I searched so I could find one with a 6-month lease instead of a year. I'm like, I don't want to be committed that much.
Right. You were testing.
Yeah. So I got a 6-month lease and right away
like a pilot. You were running a pilot.
Right. Yeah. I gave her a pilot. There's a pilot episode. Let
you greenlit a pilot.
Yeah. I'm not going to give you 12 episodes right off the bat.
I don't know you.
Yeah. I remember I only bought like a weekend's full of clothes the first week. I bought like a little suitcase. She's like, where's the rest of your stuff? Like, yeah, I'll get it. I'm like, I don't even know if this is going to make the weekend. Right. I'm not lugging all my shit up here. An hour in the car, putting all this shit in there.
Yeah, that's, by the way, maybe a red flag. If the person you're moving in with only brings a fucking a weekend bag. If they only bring a weekend. I'm sorry, is that a gym duffel bag you've got there?
So it was funny because like about 5.5 months into the relationship, I thought we were getting along great. Yeah. Our landlord lived upstairs, right? Mm-hmm. So one morning, I'll never forget, I'm sitting, it's Saturday morning, I'm looking at the New York Post, I'm reading it. She goes, hey, can we have a talk? And I go, yeah, what's up? She's like, yeah, I'm not happy. I'm like, really? Why? She goes, yeah, I'm not happy. I'm like, oh man, really? She's like, yeah. I go, so what does this mean? She goes, yeah, I want to break up. I go, okay. I'll go upstairs and tell the landlord. I just got right up, didn't even argue with her, went upstairs and said, hey, listen, we're moving out.
Well, you said 5.5 months out of 6 months.
Yeah. Like, it was basically coming crunch time, we're going to renew or not. She didn't do it because of that, so I just went up there. I go, listen, we're moving out.
But your mind was there the whole time. You always had that 6 month contract.
She said, hey, I'm not happy. I'm like, all right, the relationship's over. I'm not going to fuck.
Yeah.
I'm not fighting. So I went up there. I go, listen, we're moving out. I wanted to give you some time. You're a great landlord, and it's just not working out. But he goes, okay, no problem. I come downstairs. She goes, what'd you just do? I go, just told the landlord we're moving out at the end of the month. She's like, You did? I go, yeah, you just told me you weren't happy. You want to break up. So I got to give the guy notice.
Yeah.
She was fucking furious. She didn't know what to say after that. I don't know. I guess she wanted me to fight and go, no, what do I have to do?
You didn't seem sad. You were very.
I just called her bluff. I go, okay, I'll go upstairs. Didn't even think about it. Went right up there, told him, came back. I just told him I'm moving out.
But that's such a difference between like the female and male brain. You're thinking practically.
Yeah.
Even if you in the moment, even if you're a little bit like, oh, what the fuck, man? You're like, okay, but there's steps that need to happen here. There's things that need to, there's actually like tasks that need to be checked off where she's like, where is the emotion here?
Right.
You know, she's looking for like, hey, don't, or even if not fighting for it, be like, this is sad. She wanted you to be like, this is sad.
Yeah. Well, I mean, eventually I told her it was, but I'm like, all right, this is what I got to do.
But you still had to get your done.
Yeah. Whatever.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you.
He was a good landlord.
Whatever scenarios.
For the future, right?
Whatever scenario she was playing out in her head, she never considered that your first reaction would be like, "Oh, that poor landlord. He's been so good."
Yeah, did he call his boy?
Did he call his boys? I don't know. Is his landlord one of his boys? Did he go out for a beer? No, he just broke our contract.
Yeah, lords before whores.
Yeah, she was so mad after that. But I'm just like, listen, man, that's just the way it is. You know, you're not happy, so I'm moving on.
Yeah, no, I also think that.
And then it was an uncomfortable 2 weeks or 3 weeks
because you had to wrap
before
it up.
we moved out.
Right.
Sleeping in the same bed that night, all that shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have went to the couch,
I still wanted to get laid. I remember one time I was jerking off in the bed and she was like, she turned over, she turned the light and looked. She goes, what are you doing? I go, well,
this is what I do when I'm single.
You're not going to do it.
This is when I'm single that I jerk off in bed. You're just happy to be here for the next 2 weeks.
I'm like, come on, one more.
Yeah.
One more for the road.
Yeah,
Nothing.
No, not into it.
But and then we broke up for a year. We wound up getting back together.
Oh, okay.
And then we broke up later again. But that's just the way I got out of it. But no, but when you have a kid, that's easy. Like if we had a kid, I wouldn't have went right to the landlord. Yeah. I would have said why, and then maybe finished reading the New York Post, and then maybe went to the landlord.
Yeah, you would have maybe not been as blatant about it. You would have went to the landlord probably that day still, but. No, it's a different thing. Then there's because it's not just like how do I handle the emotion or am I careful with this person's emotion? Like all that stuff that you go through in a breakup. It's like you've got to also be amicable, hopefully, for the kid.
Right.
You got to consider the kid, what the kid's going to go through, because the kid's going to go through something that's worse really than what you're going through in a way.
Yeah.
Or at least you feel that guilt, right? So that's a different
better to
story.
get divorced when the kid's maybe 7 and under.
Yeah.
When the kid, because they don't remember you guys together. They're all of a sudden one day there's not an empty seat at the dinner table.
Yeah.
And dad's not there or mom's not there anymore. Because that's really tough when a kid's like a teenager, 13, 14, something like that.
Yeah. The core memories have been made.
Yeah. My kid, we got divorced at my kid wasn't even 5 yet. So he doesn't remember us together.
Right.
So it's better that way.
Sure.
Yeah. I was like the same. I think my daughter was 4 when we got separated.
Yeah.
I mean, the divorce took a long time, but
right. But in your daughter's eyes, that relationship, it was
still hard. But I also know she remembers it now. She remembers me still living at home. But I know over time she's gonna forget.
Yeah, and then there may be some pictures of you guys together or something like that. But it's better to do it that way. Get it over with early.
Yeah. It's the same thing about Santa Claus. Just tell them early, so this way they're not like, you lied to me for all this years. You know what I mean?
But then that's the thing. You have to deal with that person the rest of your life, the person you broke up with.
Right. There's always going to be some conversation.
Relationships, you just move on. Maybe you keep in touch. Maybe you don't.
Right.
Every relationship, no, but we're going to be good friends. No, you're not.
Right.
No, we're still really great friends.
But while your kid's through college, probably, there's got to be a conversation because there's responsibilities from both parents that get involved, right? While your kid's in school, especially.
Right.
There's going to always be a conversation that has to happen because decisions have to be made. Things have to be paid. Bills have to be paid.
Absolutely. There's all of that stuff. Yeah.
So,
decisions on, maybe gets in trouble at school, all this other stuff. Is he going to go to camp in the summer?
Right.
That crap. So.
But how was it for you? Was it how amicable versus not? Was it?
The first 2 years on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most brutal, it was 10.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
And then now it's 10 years and now it's a 2.
Yeah.
Okay. It just naturally will.
Yeah.
Does it? So I have a buddy who's going through this. I I feel like this could maybe just time does that, but like I feel like what has to happen is the people have to get into relationships with new people. I feel like that's a lot of times what does it for people. Not always.
Doesn't always do
that. Doesn't always do that.
Doesn't always.
But I think that sometimes it does that because at least it allows that person to focus on someone new.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, torturing somebody new.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they don't have time for you. Every once in a while they'll come back around again and get, I forgot about him. Let me fucking torture him again.
Yeah.
While I'm
he's away for work. I'm gonna fuck with you for the weekend.
Right, exactly. I'm bored, so I forgot about you. I gotta needle you. Let me get you.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do, especially in like, okay, so those first 2 years, like, again, you're like always that thing in the back of your mind, right? You're like, got to keep this amicable for the kid, but like you also have the baggage of the relationship, so it's hard not to go after each other sometimes, probably, right? Like in a logical moment, I think when you're alone in your thoughts, you're like, we could be amicable for the kid, but then when you're in it, she says something, you're like, you got to say something back. Right, it gets there. Yeah. It's like that's what happens. You get like brutal about.
And then the parents use the kid to get back at the other person.
Right,
they'll do that shit too. So you got to be careful about that.
Yeah.
You know, you got to be mature about that because that's what you want to use. You want to use him.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah,
that's brutal.
Or use the kid.
That's tough.
That's a tough one, right?
That's tough, and I think everyone's guilty of that. It's like, but you learn to navigate.
Yeah, but there's a difference, I think, between little, maybe passive aggressive, like, oh yeah, but when you're at your father's, like that kind of, it's not cool, but it's like, that's probably going to happen to a degree. But then there's like more intense manipulation that happens sometimes, like real intense.
There's nothing worse than after you get out of a divorce or a breakup and you're dating someone new and they're hotter than the one you broke up with.
Yeah.
That's when the shit hits the fan. That's when
because that other person is like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, oh my God, this person's so jealous. You know, women are usually just jealous to begin with if a woman's prettier than her.
Yeah.
So now you're with that person who's hot. So they're looking at it like you replaced me with a hotter version.
Yeah.
A hotter, younger version.
Do you think guys think like that? Because I feel like with guys, it's more like, well, good, then keep her satisfied. Like, keep trying to my fucking hair.
That's the way I think.
That's the way my man would go. Yeah. I'm like, this guy could be a fucking soccer player or like a fucking supermodel. And I'd be like, good. That means it's really over.
Right.
You're not coming back to this fat fuck.
Thank you for taking her off my hands.
Yeah. You look like you have a body that'll keep you occupied.
But then, then people use that. Like, say she's dating like a famous soccer player or something like that. Right. They're going on vacations. They're going everywhere. They're flying first class.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you got them that weekend. You want to go to Six Flags and 20 minutes away? Meanwhile, they're on a private jet going skiing.
Want to go to Fright Fest?
Yeah, they're in Dubai.
Yeah.
And you're in fucking Jersey. Right. Yeah, but it's still like, at least it's not.
I had like, I mean, my situation. I reconnected. The woman I'm married to now, my second wife, was the girl I dated all through high school and summer college. We didn't talk for 20 years and then reconnected. But my ex started dating one of my friends, and all my other friends, like my lifelong friends, the ones that I introduced her to, were better friends with this dude at that point than they were with me.
Wait, can you tell them how you found out that they were?
They took her side.
Yes.
So all your childhood friends.
So my lifelong friend. So I have. It's bunk, but listen, it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I would have traded all these people for my wife and her kids anyway, if I had to. But how did I find out? I found out because I was dropping my daughter off at my old house at the same time he was dropping her off on a date, which happened to be on my birthday.
That's beautiful. Happy birthday.
Hey, so I was like, that is worst case scenario, how you find that out.
But the whole time before she started dating him, I was like, oh man, I wish she would start dating someone. Because if she's dating someone, like you said, then she's not digging into me and what I'm doing every minute. And then she started dating someone, and I was like,
was that your reaction though? Was your reaction like just good, or was you were a little shocked, right?
I was a little like, wait, like I've known this dude for 25 years.
Yeah,
how did you
figure out when he pulled up? And you saw them in the car together. Did you put two and two together right there? Like, holy shit, they're fucking.
No, I put it together. I put it to like later that night. I was like, hey, was that so-and-so's car? She was like, yep. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting.
Did you talk to him about it?
He didn't call me. He called me a few days later and tried to.
He's like, you got any tips? Does she like a fucking doggy?
Right.
Would she be mad if I do reverse cowgirl?
As Ken sitting in front of
Can you give me a scouting report?
As Ken sitting in front of an uneaten birthday cake. I know. A lonely, one
candle.
Fucking candle. It's not even a cake; it's a cupcake that he bought himself.
Yeah. Oh, thanks for.
Yeah, she likes anal.
Yeah, thanks for your advice. Oh, by the way, happy birthday, belated birthday, Ken. All right, I'll see you later.
Happy birthday.
But
so what does he say?
So he tells me, I know that was weird. We're just in the getting to know each other phase. And
it's only for 25 years.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm like,
right.
But then I found out like they had already gone on all these dates and made all these plans and had concert tickets. And the thing is, I'm just like, I mean, he could have just picked up the phone and been like, hey, I'm thinking of asking your ex out. How do you feel about that? And I would have been like, I don't feel great, but thanks for
right. But even him saying, "But we're in the beginning of get to know each phase," like why? That's just right there.
Yeah,
our relationship isn't the same.
Yeah,
that you're my friend, and you say I'm trying to get to know your ex-wife.
You knew him first, right? You knew the guy.
I knew him first. Yeah,
you introduced him.
Yeah.
Technically,
I would still rather she was with somebody than single. Like as bad as this is, it would be worse.
Yeah, because that's only hurtful and the shocking. You were already out of the relationship.
Yeah,
you're not. It's more just like, what the fuck, man.
Yeah,
you want to give your boy a heads up?
I mean, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's all. And it's
so
I get that.
This was how long ago do you found out?
This we're maybe 2.5 years.
Are they still together?
Still, he lives in my old house now.
And now, do you see him at like events?
Ken's old spot?
Like some kid, your kid does whatever.
Yes, I see him, and he hates my guts.
He does?
Yeah.
So he
Why would
he
hate your guts?
Because things have been contentious with my ex, so he's puffing up and taking her side on everything. I've gotten like semi-threatening texts from him where I'm like
physical threats?
Where I'm like,
no,
like just kind of vague, like, is this a threat? Like, what is he trying to say here? But then I'm just like laughing to myself because I'm like, which couch did he send that from? The one I paid for or the one my mom gave us?
Is he laying on my old pillow? You still have my old pillowcase?
So he doesn't, your daughter's having some kind of event. You all got to be there.
We all got to be there.
He doesn't say hi.
He doesn't say hi.
Really? Doesn't come near you.
He gives, like, we just had her birthday party.
But your ex says hi, right?
My ex will say hi. We can be friendly enough.
What does he do? He just fucking look puffs.
I get like death glare. I was getting mean mugged at my daughter's birthday party a few weeks ago.
He was there too at the party?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, well, you know what? That's probably coming from her going, you better not be friends with him.
Sure.
He's a piece of shit. She's bad-mouthing him constantly, making up stories behind his back. And he knows. I mean,
some of the stories are true. Like, I can own, like, I'm an asshole sometimes.
Right.
You poke a bear long enough, the bear is going to, like, do bear shit.
Yeah. No, I love sometimes we've all been in a situation, not that, but we've all been in a situation where the woman we're with doesn't like someone. And you've got to hate that person equally with them. And in this case, it's the ex and someone you know. It's a weirder situation. But we've all been there to a degree like, oh, my ex hates, or my girlfriend hates this person. I have to pretend I hate that person too.
How much shit would he have gotten, that guy, the new guy, if him and Ken were just in the corner laughing while she's doing her thing or whatever, or the birthday party, they're reminiscing. She sees them laughing, having a good time talking. What she would do to that guy in the way home.
Which, by the way, is such fucking...
What were you talking about? Were you talking about me? Were you making fun of me? Why were you guys laughing? Why you know what he does to me. Yeah. Why you laugh? Why are you talking to him?
Yeah. Which, by the way, is an insane way to think because that's the father to your kid.
Right.
And also, now, look, no one's fighting. Like, what is she afraid of? You guys are going to run off together?
Yeah.
That'd be the next step. That'd be amazing.
That's crazy. Because meanwhile, like, my ex is with this guy that, she's been with since we got divorced. Yeah. And I'm friends with the guy now.
Yeah.
We text and stuff like that. At first, we couldn't, we couldn't talk to each other, whatever. I was a little mad, but now we're like, whatever. We just hang out. I see him all the time. It's not a problem. It's been a long time.
Yeah.
It's not, I don't know.
Well, how far removed are you from the divorce now?
10 years.
Yeah. It's like, there's no.
I could see myself getting there. I think it just takes time. It's like just an eventually.
You guys should be able to get there because you were friends before.
Enough time has to pass where you're like, who even cares about this shit anymore? If everyone's happy.
But meanwhile, if that guy had any balls, he'd say, hey, listen, I'm with you. I'm not leaving you. I know what you're about, but I've known Ken forever. We've been friends even before.
Yeah,
I
don't need to be a dick to him.
I'm going to go over and say hi to him, see how his family's
doing.
There's
none of that.
I know, but that's what a fucking real man would do.
That would be the move. That'd be the respectable man.
He would badmouth me to all my other friends.
Right.
And then I was just like everyone made it real clear real fast whose side they were on, so I didn't have them to like bitch about him too. So like my support system was taken away.
That's the crazy thing about what happened to you is that they all went.
I know.
That way. Which,
That's
what?
crazy.
I think there's a perception of a guy in a divorce, though. Sometimes everyone just assumes the guy is like, it's like, oh God, he's just like, sometimes you look at a guy in a divorce the way you look at like a homeless guy. You're just like, oh, that poor fuck. Like, but you don't want to touch him.
Right.
Oh, I feel bad.
You don't want to get that stink on you. Yeah.
Don't hug me. But, oh, poor guy. It's like such a pity thing when a guy goes through a divorce. Because usually the woman is full cut or like the majority custody. A lot of times they keep the house. The woman seems more civilized and the guy's like in a weird apartment. Like the guy, perception-wise, from the outside looking in, it's like a sadder story or some people be like, oh God, like, oh, look at him. I saw him in a house and he's got like this little apartment. And meanwhile, he's just taking the steps to move on.
Right.
Yeah.
But the perception is like, look at that fucking scumbag, because that's how society, I think, sees a single or divorced guy sometimes. Just like the perception of society to a divorced guy,
Yeah, well, thank God I had a ironclad prenup and I got the house, so.
You did. Yeah. Did that?
That was smart.
Even though there was a prenup, obviously she signed the prenup, but like, did that create any animosity in it? Like, was there like, well, you got this and I've got to go start over? Like, is there?
Yeah,
was there that?
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like hey, I'm not happy. All right, let me go tell the landlord. Not my problem. But my family would get mad when I would talk to her, like my kids playing basketball or something like that, or her parents.
Yeah.
Like, how could you talk? I go, I don't care. What am I going to do?
Also, you have to talk to her.
Yeah, I mean, but even just go up, hey, no, just like, hey, how you doing? It's good to see you. How's it going?
But for
and then we get like, well, I can't believe. I go, I don't care. What am I going to do?
But that's the fucking move.
I see them go, fuck, I'm not going near them and shit like that. I don't care.
But for your kid to see that's huge, and that's shit,
healthy.
That's
right,
the shit that your kid looks back and remembers.
Yeah, that's true.
You're right. You're not going to be in your kid's mind painted as a villain of that divorce in your kid's mind. Jim, thanks so much for coming on, man. One something I want to plug is we're all doing a show together at SmodCastle. It's Kevin Smith's SmodCastle Cinemas, SmodCastleCinemas.com for tickets. You're headlining our show on
May 8th.
May 8th, 7:30. It's a really cool venue. We're so excited to have you on and headline it.
I'm excited too. Yeah. I haven't been there yet.
It's cool. I was just there Friday night. It's a cool old school movie theater.
Love that. Yeah.
So excited. It's our first one that the podcast is like putting together. Mike Scully, I believe, is going to host, and then we'll all be there. So SmodCastleCinemas.com for tickets. If you have anything else to plug. Thanks so much for coming on, man.
I appreciate it, man. It was great.
Yeah, thanks so much. Bit Too Much podcast on all the socials. Tune in, like, subscribe, do all the things. Bye.
All right. Thanks. See you next week.
Tune in next week for the Aftermath Part 2 with our guest, Jim Florentine.